All right. Cue the epic music, the sights, the sounds. It is the final real stage of the 2026 Dakar Rally. What's going on, guys? All right. My name is Victor. I'm the host of the Chasing Waypoints podcast and, well, the Chasing Waypoints YouTube channel and all of the above. Welcome to the second to last, maybe third to last, and then maybe some briefings afterwards. But it has been a journey to get to stage number 12 for the competitors. A lot of stuff has been going on. Obviously, in the most recent stages, the former rally leader, Daniel Sanders, having to not retire, but definitely not on pace anymore due to an injury, which is a bummer and very scary. I saw how that went down in the dunes and not good. There was another video that was also circulating, if you guys didn't see it, about another rider going off of a sand dune and the bike just basically stuffing into the face of the dune and then launching him. Not that the vehicles are not susceptible to that kind of stuff. It's a whole different reaction, but it's a very scary thing on a bike. And so thankfully it's repairable injuries. They're not, could have been worse. But with that being said, and it could have been worse, is the Dakar is not going to give up that early. There's still plenty of kilometers left on stage number 12. Stage number 12 is going to be the stage to figure it out. Here's why. Stage 13 is 100 kilometers, 62 miles. And at the pace that these guys have been running, and then especially going back to that Yanbu area, there's not a whole lot to really go on there. It's going to be a fast stage, I'm certain. Maybe some tricky navigation, but 62 kilometers is not enough mileage or distance to figure out a race. But today's stage, 311 kilometers of selective section, that's enough to figure out a stage. So let's talk about it. Stage briefing, stage number 12, 2026 Dakar Rally. It is officially right now 6:17 p.m. here on the West Coast, which means 7:17 a.m. or excuse me, 5:17 a.m. in Saudi at the moment. It is going to be a day. So here we go. 7:06 is sunrise for these guys, and then 6:01 p.m. is going to be sunset in Saudi for the teams there. Today's stage, El Hanaka to Yanbu. Stage breakdown is as follows. Asphalt, 1%. Dirt track, 52%. Sand, 22%. Dunes, 4%. Stone track, 21%. Just with that breakdown, I can tell you that it seems like this stage is the entirety of the Dakar. Everything is thrown at them at this last part, this last push to the finish line of this year's event. And I have a feeling that, again, we're going to see some more shakeups in this. There's some close battles to watch out for, namely the top in the overall. Not a lot of room to breathe there for Ricky Brabeck. And then you have in the Rally 2 category, you have Preston Campbell, also a couple of minutes behind from Tony Molek. Very close racing there. So it's not going to be an easy day for anybody. Plenty of room for mistakes. So it'll be really interesting to see. And very interesting, if you look across the classes, if you look across the rally, there are more people from North America that are showing up to the event and performing and are not strangers to the podium throughout the event. Skylar Howe's picking up his first stage win at this year's event in stage number 11, this past stage. It is part of a wave that has been occurring, and it's going to be really interesting to see the growth of rally this coming year in North America. If you guys haven't already watched it, there is a video that we did talking to Darren Skilton. He's one of the most influential people, one of the most wisest as to getting to the Dakar Rally, especially from a North American perspective. If you haven't already, you got to check that video out on the channel. But I digress. We are here to talk about the stage briefing. So stage breakdown, as we talked about, asphalt 1%, dirt track 52%, sand 22%, dunes 4%, stone track 21%. we know the sand can be tricky. And when they put stone track in there, we know it's going to be rough. So 21% of it. And then you've got 52% dirt track, which sounds like we're going to have some fast, rocky, sandy stuff going on. So we'll do the stage breakdown here, and then we'll do the stage briefing, the information from the organization to the competitors here in just a second. So I already know 311 kilometer day on the selective section, 215 kilometers just to get to the green flag. Matter of fact, the first bikes are already leaving the bivouac as we're recording this. They will do their 311 kilometers of racing, and then they will do an additional 194 kilometers to get to Yanbu. So long liaisons, but it's that middle part. It's those 311 kilometers that are going to count for today. 720 kilometers total. For those of you playing the home game, the quick math, 62 miles for every 100 kilometers. So 7 of that, 7 times 62, 420 miles. So about a 480 mile day for these guys. 420, 430, 440, somewhere in there. So still a long day. It has been a pretty much standard issue day for the Dakar if you average out how much distance they're covering throughout. So, all right, let's take a look, and we'll go down, take a look at the map. So first thing to notice is everybody is on the same course today. So both cars and motos will be on the same course. Motos, of course, giving the advantage to the vehicles. They will get a chance to cut trails for them. And so the vehicles have a little bit less pressure navigating. I would have done 2 separate tracks just to give the cars their own legs. They did it. The organization did it for 4 stages. 4 real stages. There was a quick section where they were divided early on in the event, but the marathon stages were divided completely, where both the bikes and the vehicles had completely separate tracks. They had crossing points, intersection points, obviously for logistics, making fueling and stuff like that easier. But nevertheless, it was definitely some different tracks that they had to work with there. Okay, start of the stage, they will roll through, and looks like based on the squiggly line that they've got, it's going to be some tricky navigation. You see some rock dune sections there, and then it looks like they're going to have a small transfer in, transfer out from 183 to 187. So that is usually like a highway crossing or some kind of section where they just need to cut across. They're usually in a speed zone. There's some time there. So it's a critical part. You can screw that one up. All right. First control point going to be at 197 for them. And then at 222, they will have their neutralization. So at kilometer 222 on the course, that is going to be their fuel stop after getting fuel at the start of the stage. And then they're going to have control point number 2, which is going to be at kilometer 258. They will then finish the stage at kilometer 311, and then they will be riding back to Yanbu. So very interesting breakdown, very tight. Just if the map is representative of what is going on the roads and stuff like that, it looks like there's a lot of direction changes in this one. So this could trip people up. So we already know the max range fuel is going to be off the bivouac to the beginning of the stage is going to be 215 kilometers. They will have to go 222 kilometers on race pace to make it to the neutralization. And then after that, they will have 282 kilometers, so almost 300 kilometers to get to the finish. So definitely going to put, I bet there's going to be some bikes that are going to be running close to empty. We'll see how that shakes down. All right. That is the breakdown on the stage. First bike expected to take the green flag at 7:50 in the morning. That's going to be 8:50 p.m. here on the West Coast. And then the last bike is expected to finish at 2:32 p.m. Local time. So that's going to be 3:32 a.m. here on the West Coast. Then let's take a look at the vehicles. First vehicle is to leave at 9:55 a.m. That's going to be 10:55 p.m. here. And then first vehicle to finish at 16:10. That's going to put them at 4:10 in the afternoon. Local time, that's going to be 5:10 in the morning here for us. So long day for these guys. First vehicle, especially finishing at 5:10 in the morning. It'll be interesting to see how much they beat this by. I think they've been on track. 1:35 a.m. is going to be the closing time for the last vehicle into the bivouac. That's what they're expecting. Okay, that is enough of that. Let's go look at the stage briefing and see what these guys got in store for today. So let's take a look here. We'll go right to the general information and the breakdown. DSS, Depart Selective Section, 2 kilometer 26, fast canyon tracks on a wide track. So it looks like they'll get to hang it out early on, 26 kilometers, which isn't very far. It's about 12, 13 miles. Then you've got kilometer 26 to 43, alternating rocky tracks and difficult broken wadi crossings. So it sounds like a little bit more of that challenge, maybe some hidden rocks in there, and then obviously some broken terrain, washes and stuff like that. There was talk about rain in the area towards the beginning of the rally, just before the rally began. So these could be some of those washouts that we're going to be dealing with. And then from kilometer 43 to 56, dunes and sandy plateaus, then sandy tracks running along the dunes. So it looks like a little bit of in and out of the dunes. Could be some possible navigation in there. Anytime the dunes are involved, obviously all bets are off. We've already had 2 riders, that made the show, unfortunately, injure themselves. So the dunes always are going to be tricky. And then we go 56 to 100. That's kilometer 56 to 100. Fast plateau tracks, watch navigation, then track crosses a winding rough canyon section for 10 kilometers before returning to a fast plateau with many intersecting tracks. So this could get interesting. Intersecting tracks, plenty of opportunities to pick one of those wrong tracks and head down the wrong way. And even worst case is that they happen to line up with the continuing notes, and it takes 3 or 4 notes before you realize you're on the wrong path. So we'll see how this shakes down. It looks like they got about 44 kilometers of that. Kilometer 100 to 125, sandy HP tracks and soft dunes. Beware of drop-off steps and descents in this sector. So some tricky dunes there. It'll be interesting to see about what time of day they hit those. Obviously, these big drops or these dunes could have some drops, some witch eyes, some holes on the other side that these guys don't see because of the time of day that they're rolling through there. But like always, the navigation is tricky. Some of these sections, some of these dunes, as they get to them, they have to hit them at some kind of speed to be able to make it over. But if that bottom layer is really, really soft, it could lead to a very interesting ride into the face of the dunes. So we'll see how that one. Sandy HP. So HP, horse piste or off piste, is basically saying there may or may not be a track there. Expect there to be no tracks. Usually HP navigation is go that way. And that's really how it is that way is the heading, your cap heading on the compass, 360 degrees. That's telling you got to stick to this heading for the next so many kilometers and hope for the best. That's where it gets tricky when you're having to navigate dunes and sections where it's not just a straight shot and you have to be going left and right to weave. You don't want to lose too much track because you could continue to go one way. And then when you get to the other side, you might be 3 or 4 kilometers up the road or down a ways from where you're supposed to be exiting. That could be very difficult, could be very tricky. Then let's take a look. Kilometer 125 to 183, tracks in Rocky Canyon. Beware of possible hazards on parallel. Then the track returns to more open and fast terrain before going back into a smooth, enjoyable, drivable canyon for driving up to the transfer. So before these guys get to the transfer road section and the neutralization, they are going to have a little bit of fun. So we'll see how that shakes down. Hopefully they got some good shots of that. Kilometer 183 to 222, sandy track through vegetation, canyon, sometimes more technical. Then back to a much more drivable track, still in a canyon, up to the neutralization. So lots of canyons so far. Canyons can be interesting if there's forks in the road, but if it's just a canyon as we think it would be, not a whole lot to do there navigation-wise. It's just send it. Kilometer 265 to 222 to 265, very, very drivable, rocky, and winding track in a wide canyon. When they say drivable, I'm sure it is, but there's always that one rock that says it's got other plans for your rim. Then you've got 265 to 291, fast track and HP, then return to soft sand, or then the return of soft sand. So we go back to that sandy, tricky sections, fast track and HP. So might be some really fast rolling dunes, easy to navigate, not much going on there. Then we go from 291 to 297, narrow, sandy, and rocky tracks, making overtaking difficult in the vehicles, I'm sure, because the car or the bikes have room. And then the final, kilometer 297 to arrive selective section, slow, sandy track with rocks present. The last 5 kilometers are on fast plateaus with fences and isolated hazards. So very interesting to see there. It sounds like it's going to give them that parade lap. Well, no, the parade lap is tomorrow. Is going to be in Yanbu, around there. And then this is just kind of that final farewell. A little bit of everything from the Dakar Rally, everything it had to offer this year as the final stage, again, for these guys to figure it out. All right, let's look at the Vigilance points and we will wrap it up. Vigilance points, that's basically the organization telling us right here, watch out for this. Kilometer 54.24, sandy HP crest with big descent. Otherwise, don't come over that dune at full speed or it's going to be a while before the tires are back on the ground. 54.24. Kilometer 81.34, WPS, rough summit with big rocks in descent. So those are those front wheel over the bars. Those are those rocks that are the gotcha rim killers, sidewall killers in the vehicles. So we'll see how this looks. Obviously, this isn't a marathon stage, so they're not necessarily going to be concerned with conserving the tire, especially with so much sand on the stage. It's not necessarily a thing. But yeah, so that's kilometer 81.34. Kilometer 101.07 to 103.18. Series of descents with broken crests on HP track and tricky sandy ground. Okay. I don't know that how much of that is really an issue on a bike. Obviously, there's some big downhills that these guys will watch out for. I don't know. What do you guys think? So what do you guys think about riding in the dunes? I'm starting to realize I'm going to have to get over it and just figure out how to ride a dirt bike in the dunes. I don't know. A lot of the people that I know love it. They're always jonesing for it. They want more of it. So I don't know. Maybe we got to try that. Maybe there is something fun to that. I just don't like the idea of coming over the crust of something and then all of a sudden I'm in the air for 10 to 20 minutes. Well, at least that's what it feels like, which is really more like 10 to 20 milliseconds, but whatever. Okay. Kilometer 287 to 291, section through small dunes and dunes with rocks, stones present. Where have I seen this before? Oh yeah, 3 bikes in one tree at the beginning. Yeah, Stefan Svitko retiring after that one. So finding that rock that was buried in the sand coming into that section, I believe that was stage 3. Nacho Cornejo also with an extremely close call there. Was able to get going again, but obviously injured. Tasha Sharena losing a visor. And just didn't skip a beat, turned around, picked the bike up, went on to win the stage, coincidentally. So very well done there, but that makes me nervous if you've got stones and rocks present in the dunes and sand. Beware behind the crests, as it says. Kilometer 291.34, back onto track with deep ruts on the left. Okay, not bad. Just watch out. No target fixation. Then you have kilometer 304.74, right turn on crest with a fence on the left side of the track, motorbikes. Okay. So basically saying don't go wide or you're going to find a fence. Cool. So that is the Vigilance points. That is the general information on the stage and the stage map and briefing. What do you guys think? Are we going to see some stuff happen? I mean, it is the last stage. Drop the comments below. What are the predictions? I have a feeling, I got a feeling we're going to see 2 class winners from North America. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Let's find out. All right. With that being said, guys, stay tuned. We will have our morning results show coming up tomorrow morning as soon as we get up. Hopefully everybody is done and we can put a wrap up on that one. Don't forget, if you haven't already seen it, check out the video with Darren Skilton where we talk about getting to the Dakar. So with that being said, have a good evening. We will see you guys in the morning.